All right, welcome back, and this is chapter 1 and topic 1, jump right in. So if you heard the video and you went through the video on the introduction video, I talk about just, one of the biggest reasons why a business would close in the first 12 months basically is because people jump right in, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So what's jumping right in? Jumping right in is basically you find out about a business, maybe your friend, your neighbor, you looked online, maybe even the SBA PDF that you looked at, and you looked at your state and you saw that there's a great increase in, insurance agencies or whatever. Okay, a specific industry, and bam, I'm going to jump right in because that's where the money is and that's where I'm going to make my million. Well, I talk about under that topic, jump right in, I talk about passion. All right, and this is probably the most important word on this topic of jumping right in. If you're just going to jump into something, okay, can you make money? Yeah. Yeah, I've personally done it, all right? And I've known people that have made even millions of dollars. But it gets to a point that if they're not passionate about it, it's just money. And what happens is, maybe if you've left your job recently or 10 years ago, whatever, and you became self-employed, don't forget, self-employment basically just means that you don't have somebody employing you, you employing yourself. It's very much almost the same thing. It's just that nobody's writing your paycheck, you're writing your paycheck, and trust me, if that's the case, you have, and this is why I kind of separate a self-employed person to an entrepreneur. I believe that entrepreneur is what this book is about. The Small Business Instruction Guide is about entrepreneurship. It's not about being self-employed. Self-employed, you basically exchange your boss or somebody above you and you become your own boss. And yeah, that is a motivation why I would say possibly most everybody gets into business to themselves. That's why I didn't want to work for somebody else. I knew my worth. I knew what I was, what I'm capable of. And so I decided to go in on my own, okay? So, being an entrepreneur is different, I believe, to being self-employed, okay? So, think about, again, in this book and in these trainings, I want to teach you principles, I want to teach you mentalities, I want to teach you mindset, I want to teach you frameworks, all right? All of this stuff is what's going to sustain you, it's what's going to hold you up. Okay, if there's a pandemic, if there's a crash in the market, if there's a crash in your own market, okay, this is what will sustain you, all right? And it's passion. It's passion. This is the word that I put up on the board here. We're going to go through that in a second. Passion is when your heart beats a little harder, a little faster when you think about that thing that you want to do. Now, if you did the why, what, who, how, okay, then you will basically have answered that question already. Either you have your own business already, or if you're going to get started on your own business, then ask those questions. What do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? How do you want to do it? When do you want to do it? Okay? And we're going to ask those same questions right here with passion. All right? So, what is passion? And just before I started recording, all right, I know it intellectually, but let's see what Siri says, okay? And actually Wikipedia. And I'm just going to read the Wikipedia version of what passion is and just read it right out here for you. Passion is a feeling of intense, now I'm going to highlight certain words, okay? And this is what we're going to talk about as soon as I'm done here. So passion is a feeling of intense enthusiasm towards or compelling desire for someone or something. In this case, it's a something. It's not a someone, okay? Because we're talking about a business, all right? And a lot of people call their businesses their girlfriends, their wives, whatever. No, you need to separate that, and that's in one of the chapters of the book too, all right? So passion can range from eager interest or admiration for an idea, proposal, or cause to enthusiastic enjoyment of an interest or activity. to strong attraction, excitement, or emotion towards a person. Look at these keywords that I want you to think about, and this is how you need to figure out what's your passion. Look, it's not easy, but I do have a couple of ways that I've taught myself to figure out what I'm passionate about. I kind of know everything right now. What I'm doing right now, this is something I'm very passionate about. I've always been passionate about teaching people. I didn't know that. I had no idea that I loved teaching people until I figured this stuff out all on my own, read books, and kind of discovered it. And it's all had to do with my heartbeat. Okay? So, think about that description of passion. If you want to open up your Bible, ask Siri, Siri, what's passion? What's the meaning of passion? She'll probably take you to Wikipedia like she took me. But just think about that. It's enthusiasm, it's excitement, it's interest, all right? So that basically, in a nutshell, is passion, all right? And it's a heartbeat. And I'll tell you right now what it was for me. And so we've answered that question. What is passion? Okay, what is it? And for me, passion was pretty much when I would see, for example, a webinar, a seminar. I've attended many webinars, many seminars. I've flown to different countries. I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on education. All right, over the past maybe 10 years, 11, 12 years. If I go throughout my whole life, then, it's probably into over $100,000. But passion is when I would see people doing what I'm doing right now, my heart would beat a little faster. And I would envision myself. Had enthusiasm. I had an eagerness to do this. I've done this for other businesses, okay? And now I want to really focus on the small business sector, which is you, because I really, really see a great need. And there's hundreds, probably thousands of people doing small business consulting and stuff like that. I'm technically not a consultant, even though one of my businesses is a consulting business. I'm doing this really to help businesses turn around. I cannot consult with people individually in the way that I'm kind of doing with you right now. I cannot do this individually with every one of you, and I don't know, maybe there's going to be 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 100,000 people. I don't know how many people are going to watch these videos or going to buy this book, all right? But the thing is, I'm limited, and so I cannot take my consulting to each and every one of you individually, and a lot of small businesses actually will not afford my consulting fees. So that's why I thought about doing this on the scale I'm doing it, and especially offering this free training, because a lot of small businesses, I couldn't afford, what I'm doing right now, paying a consulting fee, 12 years ago in one of my businesses. All right. So what is it? I just went through what passion is. You have to kind of look into your heart, look into your insides, and really figure out, what am I passionate about? I'll give you some tips. Okay. Why do I need it? Well, think about this. And I kind of hinted on that already. If you don't have passion, you're just going to be going downriver on the flow of the stream on something, whether it's a service or whether it's a product that you decide to get in do business thing. Can it work? Will it work? Yeah, it can. It absolutely can. But there will come that time when you just you don't want to wake up in the morning. And you've probably heard the saying, if you're doing something you love or doing something you're passionate about, you'll never wake up, you'll never work a day in your life again. All right? I'm sure you've heard it. If you haven't, all right, I can't remember who said that or where I heard that. But I do remember when I heard that and I said, I'm going to do something I love, something I'm passionate, and I'll be very, very, very honest with you. I cannot remember. It's probably been, I don't know, maybe 15 years since I never wanted to wake up in the morning and get to work, because I really haven't had a job in about 15 years. Okay, now that's even when I was a manager of a fast food, a Quiznos. All right, I was doing, because I wasn't just a manager. I had my team under me, and I would actually train them and teach them things that were beyond the scope of work. All right, and I'm actually friends with a lot of the folks that used to work with me back in 2000, I don't know what. All right, so bottom line is, if you're passionate about something, you will never again work a day in your life, and that's the importance. Why? Why do I need it? It's because you do not want to work again another day in your life, and trust me, you'll know when you're doing it. Okay. When you're passionate about something and you're doing it, you'll know it. And you will never, ever again wake up to go to work again. Okay, you wake up refreshed, eager. It's not going to be like, oh man, do I have to do this again? And again, read the book. If you haven't read all the chapters, you'll go through all those phases because you're missing this one. Okay, you're missing this point. This is why this is number one. Okay, in the book, in the first chapter, first topic. It's because you jumped right in, you didn't research, you didn't, you're not passionate about something, and you just want to do it to make money. All right? And we'll get into a lot more about making money and wanting to make money. All right? As we go on. So, how do I get it? How do I get passion? Well, I've given you one hint already. It's when you think about something or doing something, and your heart beats a little faster. All right? Is it cooking? You love cooking. It just drives you. You're passionate about it. What were those words that we read? Enthusiastic about it. When you cook something, your friends, your family, just like, oh my goodness, this is the greatest meal I've ever had. Okay? That's a hint. All right? What... about teaching, like for example, me, I love teaching. Okay, I've always done it. I didn't know that I was passionate about that. My mom is now a retired school teacher. Okay, and if you ask me in my early 20s, even into my 30s, all right, would you ever consider being a teacher? I'd say absolutely not. Yet all along my life, I've been teaching. I'm the type of person that I can read a bunch of books, learn everything about it, and then simplify it. I love simplifying things and then teach it. Okay? And that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing here. All of the stuff that I'm teaching you here is not from personal experience. It's from the many, many books that I've read about businesses. It's a lot of the consulting that I've done. And so that is something that I'm passionate about. And I didn't really know it, although I was already doing it. Okay, when I was at Quiznos, and again, it's in one of the chapters of the book. When I was at Quiznos, I would do a bunch of things that standard regular manager wouldn't do. I would create charts. I would create teaching things for the staff that had nothing pretty much to do with selling sandwiches. Okay, so that is something that I'm passionate about, and I've always done it. So think about that as you are considering this, but it's something that makes your heart beat a little bit faster. And for me, I've never really had stage fright, so I've never had a problem speaking in public. All right, it's always nervous before I ever speak in public. It's always nervous, and it was very good to know that even guys like Tony Robbins, many guys that I've followed and learned from over the years are actually they're nervous. They're nervous before they go on, and they get themselves psyched up and everything. And I've had to do the same thing before I go on stage and teach a seminar, whether it's a 1-day, 2-day, or 3-day seminar. So same thing. I'm nervous when I even come before the camera, believe it or not. I have to breathe. I have to, because I want to give you my best. And so there's, certain things that I do, okay? Certain exercises that I do even before I get on here, okay? To get myself pumped up because I want to give you my best, all right? So how do I get it? You have to look within and see what really excites you. Let me give you another idea. Do you like to really keep everything organized? All right, and I'm talking about myself too. I'm slightly OCD. I'm a perfectionist. I like everything. All my shirts in my closet are color coded, long sleeve, short sleeve, and so on. So, are you somebody that's like that, and you like organization? Hey, you can start consulting with homeowners. You have a lot of people who have disorganized closets, and they don't have time. They're business people, maybe they just don't have time to organize it, and they would love somebody to come in and teach them a process, teach them a system. Okay, we're going to go into all of that, processes and systems. Okay, in future trainings, but the thing that you have to remember is, if that's something you're passionate about, is that something you like doing, well, there's somebody that'll pay you for doing that. Okay, a great book for you to actually get great ideas from is Gary Vaynerchuk's Crushing It. Okay, Crushing. Read that book. I believe he's got an updated version of it where there are newer stories, newer businesses that he pretty much talks about in the book. So there you got a lot of ideas. You got a lot of people that had hobbies, had ideas, had passions, and they turned it into businesses. And it's not easy. I'll be very honest with you. It's not easy. Starting a business is not easy. It's simple. There's certain steps and processes, systems that you can put in place, but it's not easy. Why? Because ain't nobody doing it for you. It's not going into a job and you clock in and clock out. Everything is there for you, and all you have to do is click away on your computer, answer the phone, or do whatever you do in your job, okay? If you're in a factory and you're just putting things together, no. You have to create a lot of that stuff yourself. So that's why a lot of times people don't appreciate entrepreneurs, business owners, and appreciate the fact that we need to make money, and a lot of money, to compensate for all the work that a lot of times people don't see. And then one of the things talking about that you hear a lot, when people say, Ozzy was an overnight success. No, I was not an overnight success. You probably saw me sprout, okay, at a certain point in time. But just like I told you in a previous video, that what I'm giving you are seeds. So Ozzy was a seed one day that was under the ground, and it was getting watered, it was getting nurtured under the ground, and then you see that little sprout coming out. Okay, that was Ozzy once upon a time. There's a lot of people in the community that I've hung out with and church and so on that once they saw me kind of sprouting up. Oh, Ozzy. No. This had started many years ago. Okay, so don't forget that nobody's an overnight success. Nobody. I mean, unless you put a video on nowadays you put a video on social media, and you become an overnight, everything goes viral and so on. Yeah, but look at those people. Go back and see them a year's time and see, because they basically sprouted up. They had no base, and they just the sun scorched them, and the fame and so on took them down. Some people actually make good use of it because they're doing something they're passionate about, and so then they become highly successful. So that happens too. So just a couple of pointers there on passion. So how do I get it? Here's something that I ask people, and this is something that I've developed over time. I've asked my wife, I've asked my kids, I've asked friends a question, or I kind of tell them a little story, okay, that helps them try to figure out their passion. So let me ask you this question. If I was a genie Ozzy, and you just found my little lantern on the beach somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and you find this lantern, okay, and inside this lantern is me, Genie Ozzy, but you rub the lantern, and you know what happens. The genie comes up, and here I am, Genie Ozzy, and I will grant you 3 wishes. Only 3 wishes. All right? What would you ask me? But I always put in a little I throw in a little stone there. What would you like me to give you if money was never an issue? In other words, What can I give you that does not involve making money? All right? Think about that. Because if you can sit down and ask yourself that question, if you could get anything you wanted, anything, think about that. You asking a genie, he will give you whatever you want. Whatever you want. So if you ask, well, what do people normally? Oh, I want a big house. All right. Excellent. You get a big house. All right. But then how are you going to maintain it if you don't have an income to maintain a big house? Don't you know that the bigger the house, the more maintenance, the more stuff breaks, the more lawn there is to, you're in a big mansion, you gotta pay for all of that. Okay? So the genie can give you that, but your second wish had better be, and I want the income, perpetual income, all right, to kind of fund everything. But that's why I don't want you to think about money. I want you to think about what would you like? What can I give you as a genie? What 3 things can I give you as a genie that does not have to do with money? All right, so that jet that you want, that big house, that yacht, whatever, well, you don't need it because I can give it to you, but you don't need it because you have all the money in the world. You see, when you sit down and you ask yourself that question, and you come up with 3 things, a lot of the people that I've spoken to, that I've asked that question to, find out what their passion is. And the reason they find out what their passion is because they are seeking inside themselves and not superficially. Money is superficial, folks. Money is not going to make you rich. All right? Money is a form of richness, but trust me, wealth, prosperity, does not have to do with money alone. Okay? And you just read the statistics. How many millionaires, and unfortunately sometimes even billionaires, commit suicide or unhappy, or they just going through divorces, they're not fulfilled. They don't have a passion for life. They hate what they do. Money, they get to all these millions and millions and millions of dollars, and then they realize that, didn't buy them what their soul needs. All right? So think about that. Because if you can figure out the 3 things that you could ask me, Genie Ozzy, that would not involve me giving you any form of money or any form of things, all right, then chances are you're going to find out what you're passionate about. Okay? What this topic is about is jumping right in. And if you're tempted or you come across a business, a product, a service that you want to start, being a business person or business owner, an entrepreneur with, think about it. Are you passionate about that? Are you doing something you're passionate about? Because I'll tell you why. Anything that flows downhill doesn't mean that it's good. So what am I talking about? Something, and I discuss in the book, I discuss the vaping business that crashed last year. All right? A lot of people got into it just because of the flow of the market. Everybody was getting into it. All these vape fanatics. A lot of times, I don't even know if half of these people even smoked or vaped or anything. If they did, okay, fine. They were using the product. But here's the thing. It was the downflow of the market. Don't forget it's something about downflow of the market. No matter what you put into a river that's flowing, the flow of the river or the flow of the market, anything goes downhill. Anything. Caca flows downhill. That's what I learned from one of my mentors, my marketing mentors. Okay? Caca flows downhill. You can put crap into a river and it's going to flow downhill. It's when you have to flow uphill. Think about salmon and a lot of other fish that swim uphill, upstream. Why? Because they want to go to the source of where they were born, to complete the circle of life. See, business is not, it's great if you can get a nice downflow of the market with your product, whatever, if you're passionate about it and you know what you're doing and you're following all the principles and everything I'm going to teach you in the book, then yeah, you are, you know, it's no problem to kind of get a nice, but it's when you're swimming upstream, it's when you're really going against the current that makes you strong, it makes you resilient, and it gets you to the source of the river, okay, to the source of where you want to go. And that's where riches really are, and that's where you really will become abundant. It's where you really will become prosperous. All right, so don't get into a business and jump right in, as I call it, just because of the flow of the market or your friends or family or whatever. Oh no, it's a great business, get into it. Research it. That's going to come in the next topic, but you know, you want to be passionate about what you're doing so that you at least know that you'll never wake up again to go to work. All right, hope you've enjoyed this. Very important, and I didn't mention it in the previous two videos, something that is vitally important for me is that you ask questions. Okay, it's extremely important that you ask me questions about everything that you're hearing here, or if you have comments, all right, email me. So my email is ozzy@ozzysimos.com. That's one of the emails you can use, okay? Or if you're watching this on YouTube, again, these videos are going to be put onto different platforms. If it's on YouTube, please, you know, go into the comments below and comment over them. But ask me as many questions as you like. I'm going to try always to respond as much as possible to them. I may not even be able to respond individually, depending on how many hundreds or thousands of questions and messages I get. But I will try my best to read them as much as humanly possible and then respond to them. And I may not respond directly in a written form, but what I will do is I'll take all your questions and I will formulate videos and teachings based on your questions, especially if it's you know, a lot of repetitive questions or the same question repeated a lot of times. What I'll do is I'll actually create a training based on that. If I see that there's a great need, a demand for in a specific area, a specific question that's being asked all the time, then I know that there's a big need. What I'll do is I'll actually create more trainings for you guys. All right, so please ask questions and put in your comments. I'd love to know what you think about this and how I'm helping you. Thank you very much. Don't forget, go. It's yours for the taking, and I'll see you in the next video.